go here.
Do I have to hit the OK for live stream up there?
No, you don't have to do anything.
Don't do anything. Okay.
Nope. It's all on me.
Okay.
I'm sharing the
Take
stream
it
with
easy.
no, you're good. I'm sharing the stream with Spring Nuts on their page so people can go to the Spring Nut page and watch if they want to. Well, we're running a few minutes early, which is always nice. Sometimes our guests come in right on the hour. You're very perfunctory.
Yeah, I
Well,
want
we're
to come in
respectful of your time,
early.
Frank. Do you have a certain time you need to be off? To deal with anything? Okay.
I put everything else aside.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. All right, we are good to go. We are on Zoom here, and we are on Facebook. Some viewers will start streaming in here. All right, I want to welcome everybody to another fantastic episode of Spring Nut Cafe. We've had quite a variety of people. We had Tom Zimney on about a month ago. We had Ron Aniello a while back. We had Anthony Almonte on just a few days ago. So it's an absolute honor and a pleasure to have Mr. Frank Stefanko on here. We are a very Bruce-centric group, obviously, Spring Nuts. But anytime our guests are on here, we always want to get to know you as the person as much as you'd like to share. And then, we'll obviously get into some Bruce material at some point in time. So welcome, Frank.
Well, thank you, Ryan.
It's a little toasty. Do you still live in New Jersey?
Oh yes,
Okay.
I'm in. I'm in this. Well, not South Jersey, but I'm closer to Philadelphia, but
Okay.
still in New Jersey. Yeah.
Well, Howie posted
The
earlier.
Delaware River is about 3 or 4 houses down the street from us. So
Howie posted a reminder this morning on Facebook, and Bud McLaughlin, who's a friend of ours, he's from Philly, and he says, "Don't ask Frank about the Phillies, whatever you do."
absolutely not right now. Anyway, I'm
Well,
stuck.
I'm from St. Louis. I'm a Cardinals fan, so I've got nothing to talk about whatsoever. I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So, if you don't mind sharing, I know some stuff about you and your background, but for anybody that's watching that doesn't necessarily know, if you could just kind of talk about your upbringing and your background and where you grew up and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, not too far from here. I was born in Philadelphia, but moved across the river just as a little tiny infant to Camden, New Jersey, uh, and that's where I grew up and went to school. My mother was a well. This is one of the things that Bruce Springsteen and I had in common. He had an Italian mother and a non-Italian father, so we were able to talk about that. So my mother was Italian and my father was Czechoslovakian. So I had two cultures, and I feel like I got the best of both worlds. My brother and I, my younger brother. So that was it. We we grew up there, went to school there, and then as after high school and all that, I went to college at a little rural college in further south in New Jersey called Glassboro State College. It was a teachers college, and if you go down there now, you wouldn't recognize it because it's now called Rowan University, and it's just like Monmouth University in East Long Branch or West Long Branch. It's sprawled out. It's all over the place now. A lot of new buildings. There's a lot of money put into it. But I went to school there for a while and hooked up with a young lady that I found very interesting. Her name was Patti Smith. So that's that's when our friendship started a long time ago, and she still calls me up on my birthday to uh, to wish me happy birthday. Let me knock this out.
You're
I'm
good.
with you.
Howie is here, so I'm going to let Howie in.
Sorry about that.
No,
Hey,
you're good.
Howie,
How are you, man?
Hello.
how you doing?
Okay, I started I put the post out in New York, and now I'm doing it from Baltimore, so I'm good. I made it 8 on the dot.
Well, you beat it. You beat your own time. You were ahead of time, buddy.
Well,
I gotta tell you, if there's a cops behind me, come in the middle of this podcast because they're trying to catch me for speeding. Don't freak out. I got it all handled.
you're going to be late. I thought you were balling on down.
I bolted. Actually, Julie did a great job driving here. We got here just in time. We made up a lot of time, so I'm glad I made it. And thank you for being patient. It was a last minute trip that I didn't expect to make today, but we're here.
Howie, you can hear me. You can hear Frank.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. All
Yeah.
right, so I'm sticking with the laptop version.
All right. We were just getting started on Frank's background. So Frank, okay, you got to answer me this. I have a lot of friends in New Jersey, and I hear a lot about North Jersey and South Jersey, but no Central Jersey. Is there a Central Jersey?
No, it's that area between Taylor ham and Taylor pork roll. It's kind of the hinterland where they don't know what it is, spam or something. I don't know what it is. But no, there's Central Jersey. Yeah, nah, not really. It's south or north. Why break it up any more than it already is?
Mm.
Okay, so you grew up in Philly area and you met Patti. Can we go back a little bit further and talk about how you got into photography?
Yeah, sure. As a kid, I was fascinated with things. They had they sold these. You know how you buy baseball cards and it has some gum in it and all that. Well, there was a bunch of cards that were sold at the candy store that had the gum in it, but it had the cards had photographs embedded in them somehow, and you had to hold it up to the sun to get light exposed to it for the image to come out. And so I would buy those, and I was fascinated by it. And I was fascinated by photography in general, and anything optical. Optical illusions fascinated me. So when I was about 8 years old, I found an old fashioned box camera in our dining room drawer, and and I asked my father if I could borrow it, and he said, "No, no, I'll show you how to load it up with film." And he gave it to me, and so I'd run around the neighborhood. I think it made 10 exposures or something, and and then I'd run a couple blocks down to the corner drugstore and put it in the envelope and send it out to be processed, and couldn't wait for it to be done so I could see what came out. And you start to learn what you did wrong, what you did right, and that was the very beginning of me being fascinated by photography and taking pictures. And then as the years rolled on, I moved up from the Brownie camera to a Kodak camera with a flash on it, and then eventually I got into 35 millimeter and uh, larger format cameras, 6 by 7 centimeter camera, and I just moved up, and then also made the transition to digital photography when it finally started to really overtake everything, and just went through the changes. But when I was at Glassboro State College with Patti Smith, I took courses in photography, but it turned out that I knew more than most of the students. So the teacher put me in the dark room so that I could kind of supervise, the students in the dark room. And, I put my midterm portfolio in, and he said, I can't teach you anything. Just, go in the dark room and help out. That was the beginning, and it just evolved over the years. A lot of my friends that did photography. Uh, I knew Robert Mapplethorpe because he was friendly with Patti in New York, and I was up in Manhattan every chance I could on the weekends to photograph my friends and you know the area. It just evolved, and until one day I was telling Patti about Bruce Springsteen, and you got to look out for Bruce Springsteen. I heard him on a live radio broadcast out of Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, at the Main Point, and there was a disc jockey who's long passed on, Ed Shockey. Um, he kind of emceed the thing, but I heard this band, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, and there was horns, and there was, all this. It was jazz, it was blues, it was rock, it was folk, it was all this stuff kind of melded together into this unique sound. And when I heard it, I was up in New York, and I told Patti, you gotta listen to this guy. He's really. And as it turned out, she saw him at the Bottom Line a few times. They got together until the magic time for me was 1978. They were both working on West 45th Street at the record plant, working on Darkness on the Edge of Town. And Patti was working on, Easter, around Easter. And they, got to spend some time together. And she showed Bruce some of the photographs that I took of her over the years. And Bruce said, I like this. She said, oh, this is a guy who's telling me that you're going to be great someday. And so I got a call from Patti one day. I was living in New Jersey at the time, 1978, with my first wife, who unfortunately passed away at a very young age, and my two of my children. And but they were all was well then. And I got a call from Patti saying, how'd you like to photograph Bruce? Your friend, the guy Bruce, I said, yeah. So he says, well, he's going to call you sometime. I said, sure. Okay. So I hadn't heard anything for several weeks. And then one day I got this call, and there's a voice on the other side said, hey, Frankie, do some photos, and I said, Bruce, yeah. Well, that was the very beginning. And I said, do you want me to come up to New York or North Jersey? He said, no, I'll come down to your place. So he came down to Haddonfield first day in an old pickup truck with logs on the back because it was wintertime and the roads were icy, needed the traction. And we started. We sat down. He looked through my portfolios of photography, and we talked about family. That's when I was saying earlier. We found out that we both came from mixed family with non-Italian fathers and Italian mothers. And, we both loved New Jersey. We loved the shore. It all clicked. We felt very comfortable. We felt very relaxed. He had faith in what I was doing, how I would start with the directing of the photography and everything. I had a very basic camera setup, and we started. And then when we worked all day, and at the end of the day, he was going home, and he said, "Can I come back tomorrow?" And I said, sure. And he came back the next day, and then we worked again. And after that day was over, he said, "Can I come back next week with the E Street Band?" I said, "Sure." Everything was good. We went over to East Camden to a friend of mine's luncheonette, and I said, I'm coming over with Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, Billy. His name was Billy Shello. And he had this little luncheonette with a counter, a couple of booths, an old-fashioned phone booth, a pinball machine. He made cheesesteaks for everybody. And we started working in there. And I just kept shooting and shooting and shooting. And I made up this big pack of contact sheets. And he asked a few weeks later, he called up and he said, "Can you come up to New York to the record plant and do some photos with the band? We're going to go up on the roof." I said, "Sure." So that was a morning and evening situation where we went up on the roof and shot in the daylight, and then we went back up at night and shot in the darkness, and I had to use flashlights to focus. It was quite interesting, but I got a whole slew of stuff, a lot of photography, and so when it was over, and this is my fun part, he was in the studio at the piano, and I think Dick Wingate was in there for a while and some other folks, but they left, and I was alone with Bruce in the studio, and he said, "Frankie, this one's for you," and he sat down at the piano and he played and sang "Heartbreak Hotel" for me, you know.
Oh, wow.
Getting ready to leave, I had my buddy that was helping me with the lights. We were getting ready to leave. He handed me a little envelope. I said, "Bruce, you already paid me." I think I billed him like $368 for the first round.
Mm.
He gave me an envelope, and I tucked it in my pocket. Billy and I were in the cab going back downtown where I left the car. And he said, "He gave you an envelope, Frank." "Oh, yeah, yeah. Much bigger check." He liked it. So that was it. And then I guess a few months after that, he called up and he said, you got the album, Frankie. Front cover, back cover, inner sleeve, the whole smear."
Wow.
That was the very beginning of our working relationship.
So did he call you at some point in time? The two of you got together to go through all the negatives and figure out
Oh, what had happened was it was winter in Manhattan, big snowstorm. And I went up to Manhattan with a pack of contact sheets from all the work that we had done. He was staying at the Navarro Hotel on Central Park South. And when I went there, went up to his room, he went under his bed. He had one of these magnifying flashlights, and he's sitting on the bed, and I'm sitting at his desk chair, and he's going through every frame one by one by one. So that was, when he was finally looking at the work, and that was then subsequently he called me up and he said, "You got the album cover." Yeah.
wow.
So that was
during that first shoot for the, what we now know of as the Darkness cover. What was your process like? Did he come up with the ideas of what he was looking for? Did you two work together?
No. I just shot what I wanted to get. He gave me the look that he wanted to give. I put him in different locales, different setups, different positions, this and that, and it was just real easy going, real casual. And we got these, there's a line in the movie Scarface with Al Pacino where he's in the car with Mano, and he said, "The eyes, Chico."
Mm.
And that's it. I mean, if you can look at somebody straight in the eye and they can look at you back straight in the eye and know that everything's okay, then you're halfway there, So that's where we were. We had that kind of, I felt that we had that kind of a relaxed connection, but his work ethic was incredible. We would start in the morning and we'd go all night. He never seemed to, it's like the time was precious. Let's get this done. Let's do that. Let's do this. It was, we had to take a time to have something to eat or just, sit down for a minute, but we were nonstop. And I got, hundreds and, thousands of photographs. So,
So let me check. So I'm sorry. So that's okay. You're saying that Bruce had the concept himself on how he wanted to sort of look as far as the Darkness album was concerned?
yeah, I think so. He wanted it to be raw.
Hmm.
He wanted the fellow in that photograph to represent Howie,
Hmm.
characters that he was writing about in Darkness, and also subsequently the river as well.
Right.
I did that cover as well, and the river cover was taken at the same time we did the Darkness shoot.
Wow.
So
Also, you did both of those covers at the same time.
what happened was he was mixing in 1980. He was mixing the river. Remember, we did Darkness
Right.
in 78. 1980, he was mixing the river with Jimmy Wachtel in California.
Hmm.
Right? So he would call me at 2:00 in the morning, and he had the matching set of those contact sheets that I referred to.
Hmm.
He would say, Frank, look at sheet number 23, image number 5. Do you think you could maybe make the right side of that a little darker, blow that up for me? And, and then he'd look at another one. So I would go, we'd have these conversations. I'd go into the dark room all night, print up everything, kind of with the ideas that he had, and FedEx everything to California. And a couple of days,
Wow.
he had them on the floor, and they're looking at everything. So that went on for about a week. Dark
Wow.
positions. I mean, I was like, so we finally got it all done, and then he called me up and he said, "You got the river."
I didn't realize that they were both being that I never put it together that well now that I'm thinking about it, it does look his look is very similar. I don't know why I never put it together. First of all, I always wondered why he never used a comb and combed the hair, but I guess that's what he was going for.
Characters were raw,
Right.
they were still in their forming stages, these characters. And he had the character done with the darkness cover. He had that
Mm.
character established, the guy standing by that. Oh, by the way, the cabbage rose wallpaper
Hmm.
in that movie about Nebraska,
Hmm.
never in the house. That was in my house in Haddonfield. That's where we did that. But they asked for that image, so Guido Harari and I sent them the wallpaper stuff. They wanted to use it in the movie, so we said fine. But that was the darkness cover with the cabbage rose wallpaper, and then we did the tight shot, river, the black and white
Right.
shot, and then the back of the river was a shot I took in the window of a paper goods store in Lower Manhattan. But I looked at it and I said, "There's an American flag. There's the bride and groom. There's all these things that, that related to some of the songs that he was singing about. But there was America, there was young people, there was trying to get it. It all worked. So that was Darkness in the River."
So two things come to mind on this thing is that first of all, now like just thinking about the connection of those, it makes sense because the two photos that are connected, Darkness and the River, sort of connects the characters from Darkness to the River as well. And makes sense because when the way it's just crazy how Bruce thinks in a way because even the photos he's putting his head into it, what the album cover is going to look like and how it's going to connect his characters into his his lyrics and his stories. So that's number one. And now I'm thinking about Mike, if you think about it, Frank, how does it feel when arguably other than you would say Born to Run, but his two what the fans consider two of his greatest albums, Darkness and the River, and let's say Born to Run is in there somewhere. But okay, Darkness and the River is shot by out of all the material he's put out over the years, those two albums were shot by you.
Yeah. Like he said, the characters in the river were basically a carryover from a lot of the characters in Darkness. There was stuff that he writes copious amounts of stuff, and not everything fitted or worked for Darkness, but there was material. Listen, he called me up to Cold Snack in 1982 to do some photographs for Nebraska. And usually the first two albums I did, I didn't know the songs. We just sat down and talked about, the ideas and stuff. And then I never really photographed the characters that were going to be on those album covers or in, the characters in those songs. What I did was I photographed the image of Bruce Springsteen as I saw him. And he emulated those characters without even thinking about it because
Right.
he loved those characters in so many words, So when we did when we did Nebraska, I that was the first time I went up to the carriage house that he was staying in Monmouth County, and we went up to his bedroom. He sat on the bed. I sat in a chair, and he put the TAC tape deck up
Mm.
and played the entire Nebraska for me.
Wow.
And we didn't say a word. Oh, by the way, I was looking at the words in his Snoopy binder, all the words in ballpoint pen. And afterwards, he got up, turned off the tape deck, turned around, and said, "What do you think? What do you say?" Something like that.
My
I said,
God.
I've never heard anything that encompassed so much. It was rockabilly, it was blues, it was folk, it was there were so many different genres of music in these ballads that he was writing about, and these characters he was writing about. Unfortunately, I did not get that album cover. David Michael Kennedy did. Bruce said he wanted something more raw, even more
Mm.
than what I had done. But fortunately for me, it's another whole batch of photographs that I have in my archive. So it went on from there too. I did a shooting session for Devils and Dust, and
Mm.
oh, by the way, Danny Clinch and Eric Miola are dear
Mm.
friends of mine. So
Mm.
it's all good. But
Different.
uh, you know, I didn't get that album cover, but again, I got a whole slew of material that, well, they've been selling pretty good in the galleries that represent me. So,
Does
uh,
he really have a Snoopy binder?
Oh yeah, the lyrics for Nebraska were in a Snoopy binder. Like it
and
was the
I
the
must have.
dichotomy between what the content of those songs were and the fact
Mm.
it was in a Snoopy notebook is mind blowing.
Well, the reason why I say that because Julie always makes fun of my Batman and Captain America binder. So I gotta tell you that if he's got Snoopy, I mean, I think
You're in good company,
I'm in good company, right? Okay, go ahead, Ryan.
yeah, it was
Frank.
definitely a Snoopy binder. Cover.
Frank, what strikes me is that, 1975, we got Born to Run, you got Bruce and Clarence on the front cover, black and white. They're having a great time. They're smiling ear to ear. They're buddies. As Bruce said, it was like you open up that album, it was an invitation to something. He doesn't know what, but it was an invitation. 3 years later, boom, complete opposite. It's in color. You got this very serious, stark face looking at you. And it's just a total dichotomy between, those two albums and the content of both of those.
Well, the characters were different. I mean, actually, if you go back beyond Born to Run, you go into Greetings and The Wild and the Innocent. Those characters were different as well. They were formulating. They were in their formative. It's almost like watching an infant grow. you know, and how it all evolved and how it continues to evolve. I mean, the things that he's done afterwards were amazing, and hell, I mean, just the stuff that he's doing now is beautiful. So yeah, I mean, what can I say? The guy, look, they called him the boss. He knew
Mm.
he wanted, he knew what he wanted his band members to do. He knew what he wanted it to sound like. He knew what the character was to be. He knew what he was, what his character was to be, and how it all evolved. How many decades has it been now, guys?
Wow. Yeah.
55
Not
years,
old. It's never got
60.
old. Never gotten old.
So for those of you watching, Frank has two books out, maybe more, but I have two of them. One is Days of Hope and Dreams, which came out
Mm.
in about 2003. Frank, if you don't mind, I'd like to read Bruce's introduction to the book, if that's okay with you,
By all means.
because I think it gives everybody a good taste of what at least Bruce thinks of your photography in general. In 1977, I was backstage at a Patti Smith concert, and she said, "Hey, you ought to have your picture taken by this guy, Frank Stefanko." She said he was an old friend who worked in a meatpacking plant in South Jersey and was a real great photographer. I was on the finishing end of Darkness on the Edge of Town, so I gave Frank a call. One winter's day, I drove my '60 Vet south to Haddonfield. We did the session at Frank's house. My recollection is that he borrowed a camera and had the kid next door come over and hold up a big bright light in case we were shooting grew a little too dark. The cover shot for Darkness was taken in Frank's bedroom, and any exterior shots were taken either in Frank's yard or on the streets of Haddonfield. The pictures were raw. Frank had a way of stripping away any celebrity refuse you may have picked up along the way and finding you in you. He seemed to photograph you within a set of very strict self-imposed limits, but within those limits he created a fully realized world. A world that I felt was deeply connected to the characters I was writing about on Darkness. The pictures' lack of grandeur, their directness, their toughness were what I wanted for my music at that time. Frank always shot your internal life. He let your external imperfections show. His photos had a purity and poetry. There was some humor in their laconism. In the aftermath of Born to Run, he latched onto the very conflicts and ideas I was struggling to come to terms with. Who am I? Where do I go now? He showed me the people I was writing about in my songs. He showed me the part of me that was still one of them. Thanks, Bruce. I love
Beautiful.
that he thinks you captured him as just that person, as that kid Bruce Springsteen that grew up in Freehold, and strip away all the exteriors.
Well, that's I felt the same way. It's like we worked together, and I kind of, like I said, I didn't shoot a character. I shot the guy that was standing in front of me, and that's all you needed to do because he was the character.
But you could see through that. So you were able to see that. You know, what I mean, even early on, you were able to see that. You know, now we know him 50 years later, we see that. But you knew that way back when.
Well, uh, Ryan talking about I had the two books. The first one came out much earlier, and it didn't really tell the whole story. The second one, Bruce Springsteen, Further Up the Road,
That one I love. That one I love.
10 pounds, and it covers a very large amount of our working together up until 2017, I think, is included in there. But that was that book was a beautiful book. It's still actually we just sent 10 copies of the deluxe version was sold out right away. There was 650 of those. They went. The collector's edition, which pretty much the same book, uh, we still had some in Italy. The book was I worked with Guido Harare for he, he came over from Italy. He wanted we both had the same idea at the same time because I had more stuff to put down, and much more to show from the first one. So he came over from Italy. We sat down. We went through everything. We talked. We recorded stuff. We filmed stuff. We anyway back and forth several times between Italy and my house in Haddonfield at the time. Was it Haddonfield? No, it was here. It was here where I live now. So we got it all done, and he got Milan Grafique in Milano, one of the best printing houses in Europe, to do this book. If you look at it, there's several different kinds of papers. There's translucent pages. There's overlaps. There's all kinds of stuff in there. And it covers 1978 all the way through 2017, including live footage, stuff that we shot at San Siro Stadium, on stuff that we shot at in Gothenburg, which was a wild trip. Danny Clinch and I had a two-man show in Gothenburg during that concert, and we were both backstage, tumbling over for taking photographs. Anyway, it was something that we both, Guido and I both wanted to do, and it's not a cheap book. But the reason I brought this up is we just sent 10 copies over to the Bruce Springsteen archives, the Center for American Music, for their gift shop. It's not we talked about that, and I said, "This is not a cheap book. It's not. You're not going to pay $1.98 for this. It's like, I don't know. It's quite a few $100s, you know."
Mm.
And it, but they said, "No, no. We have customers that are coming in here that from all over the world." And so we said, "Okay, we'd love to have it." So we just sent 10 copies, and if they sell those out, we'll send 10 more.
If anybody's gonna buy it, it's gonna be in that place. So-
Well, I
That's
have to.
a beautiful place. I had the good privilege. Melissa Kozlovsky,
Mhm.
Yep.
you know, Elaine Chapman and Bobby Santelli and that whole group. They called me up quite a while ago to come in and do a little tape, a little interview thing,
Mm.
gallery. The attorney in Philadelphia, Robert Mongaluzzi, donated a lot of the work that he had collected over the years from me, from Eric, from Danny, from Pammy, from, you know, many of the people that have photographed Bruce. So they have the Mongaluzzi gallery in the center there. And I feel fortunate. I have 5 of my photographs that Bob Mongaluzzi donated to the center, hanging up with Danny's and Eric's and Pammy's and
Mm.
maybe Lynn. I don't know. But I got to see it hanging there. So, but Melissa took me through when the building was still under construction.
Hmm.
It was really good. We could see what was forming, you know, and I actually got one of the workmen. We had to wear
You
hard
know, it
hats,
had the hard hats, yeah.
so I had one of the workmen take a photograph of Melissa and me. We posted it
Mm.
on Facebook, and some of the early shots before the interior work was finished. And then, of course, I went back up for the dedication, you know,
Mm.
and that was amazing.
Have you gone back after that to see everything or not yet?
Not yet. I want to wait, you know, just give it some time and
Yeah,
let
it's
it.
phenomenal. It's like literally, it's like, you know, it's the North Pole for Springsteen fans. It's you know, unbelievable. Such a beautiful, beautiful building, and you know, they did it justice, and it's the photos, the interactive stuff, everything is just phenomenal. It's just great to have. It's great for him.
Interactive stuff, the theater that they have in there,
Yeah,
just everything is it's top boat. It's top boat.
they did great.
Frank, I just wanted to say for anybody watching this, if you do go to the archive, the museum, go to the bookstore, the book, like Frank said, it's not cheap by any means. You're going to invest some money, but I'm not kidding you. It's one of the nicest things I'll ever own in my whole life.
Mm.
I've had it for 10 years or when it came out. It's beautiful. Like the printing, the paper that it's on is just a beautiful piece of, just the printing itself is just a beautiful piece of work, much less all the pictures that are inside of it.
Well, Ryan, you're holding the deluxe copy, and like I said, they sold out right away. So, but the collector's edition is essentially the same book with a different cover and one less, uh, uh, you know, frameable photograph that came with it. But it's, you know, all the interior stuff is the same.
Frank, for people watching that don't know, can people buy copies of prints anywhere? I know you've had some galleries at the Morrison, correct?
My photographs are in the East Coast, are in Morrison Hotel Gallery in on Prince Street in Manhattan. Um, they're also in Morrison Hotel Gallery in LA at the Sunset Marquis. Uh, there's I can't remember the other gallery. There's another gallery in LA that has it. And Sam Milgram's going to kill me for this, but
Mm.
gallery. Um, Also, a Snap Gallery in the UK,
Wow.
and Wall of Sound Gallery in Alba, Italy. That's Guido Harari's uh, gallery.
Mm.
And yeah, there's another one in Sweden called Photo Gallery AK or something like that in Sweden. But yeah, um, what we haven't discussed, and I don't know if Eric has discussed it or Danny or Pam or anybody else, but I think it might be a good idea to have the gift shop in the complex of
Hmm.
to handle some signed and numbered photographs for collectors as well. So if they come to visit, um, and see everything, they can maybe take a an 11 by 14 or something that they can, carry with them uh,
Hmm.
home with
Yeah,
them.
it's a good idea. It's a good idea.
But I haven't discussed that with anybody. The idea just hit me the other day when we sent the books over there.
Mm.
Frank, if you don't mind, if we can just go back, the fact that you cross paths with Patty and Bruce, it just seems like kismet. I don't know, but so you're growing up, you find this. You're 8 years old. You find this old brownie in your family's kitchen cabinet. You develop your own skills. You're developing into different cameras, different formats. You're developing your own film. When did you start shooting? Did you start shooting professionally, doing anything, or was this all your own choosings of what you were shooting, what you weren't shooting?
What I didn't mention, because we talked about parenting, and my mother was Italian and my father was Czechoslovakian. My father was a cabinet maker. He was a very, very high end carpenter.
Mm.
So in our first home in North Camden, he built me a state of the art darkroom in the basement,
Oh wow.
his workshop. He even did things like put cross louvered things so air could go through and I wouldn't be, the chemicals wouldn't hurt me and everything. I, he bought me in those days. I think he was making about $100 a week, and I'm going back to the 50s and 60s.
Mhm.
It's good money.
And so he bought me a $35. I asked him if I could get it. He gave me $35 so I could buy a Federal enlarger. And then I was able to actually, instead of doing contact sheets, contact prints, I could actually enlarge my photographs onto bigger paper. So that was the beginning. And then I moved to two different places after that, to an apartment and then ultimately to the house in Haddonfield. And he built me in the Haddonfield house a really big dark room. We took up almost half of our basement, and it had running water and it had everything, and so much that Bruce had seen it, and he called me up one day and he said, "Hey Frank, I'm at Newark Airport. Picking up my sister Pammy, and getting into photography, and can we come down and look at your dark room? I want her to see your dark room." I said, "Yes." Gets in his car. He drives down from Newark Airport. Now we're talking what, 80 miles, 75 miles, or something like that. He drives down, gets out of the car. Pam comes in. She was very young at the time. And we went down to the basement. I showed her the dark room. She looked around, and this is great. They got in the car and they drove back up. So she kidded me about we've seen each other many times since then. We've done some interviews together and things, and she said that made a big influence on her.
Was
So
she a photographer back then, or she was learning photography?
her brother, Bruce said she's just getting into photography.
Wow. So
Remember,
you
she did a little bit of in the movies. She was in some movies,
mhm.
and but then the photography bug really took over, and she was photographing people when she lived in the West Coast, and
Mhm.
still, she's still working. And in the last Bruce tour, you saw her everywhere.
Yeah, she was all over the place.
Frank, I had a great short interaction with Pam. I was in a pit in Philly back in 24, I think, and I'm by the camera stand, and I see Pam come through, and she's getting on the stand. She's just sitting there, and I said, "I'm sorry to bother you. Can I just ask you a real quick question?" She says, "Sure." I said, "Okay." I said, "Does this ever get old for you?" She says, "Never." After all these years, it never gets old for her.
No, no, she's incredible. She's like I said, she's a sweetie. I've known her for a long time. We're friends.
Frank, I have one section out of the book that I'd like to read, which I read 20 years ago, and it stuck with me this whole time. You're talking about how Bruce came to the house, and you had some younger kids at the time, and you said, "Don't ever tell your friends that Bruce is here. He's
Oh,
changing a shirt in the living room. He looks out the window. Hey, Frank, you might want to draw your
Mm.
Loads of girls.
So the word got out, even though you said no, don't tell anybody. The word got out. But then you write this great descriptive section. At that point, we decided to leave the area for a while. We were kind of weary from working all morning, so I suggested we take a ride and look for a photo op out in the field or out on the road somewhere. I had some cassettes in the car, but they were all Bruce Springsteen albums. I didn't want to be embarrassed by playing Bruce his own music, so I asked him to bring a cassette. We jumped in my car and drove out into the New Jersey pine barrens. Pine needles were baking on the ground in the sun, and the smell of pine permeated the air. With the windows down and the hot, fragrant air blowing in, I thought of a line from the Springsteen song Thunder Road. Roll down the windows and let the wind blow back your hair. Going through the back roads down into the swamps of Jersey, Bruce chose to listen to Creedence Clearwater Revival. Imagine working with the person that you admire the most in rock and roll and having the opportunity to take a ride through the Jersey pine barrens in the summer with the windows down playing Creedence Clearwater. I can't sing for the life of me, but I harmonized Lodi along with Bruce Springsteen in my car. That was one of the greatest days of my life.
Yeah. Also, when we were driving along, I could see his mind working. We drive. We went through coming back. We were in a town called Hamilton, New Jersey, on the White Horse Pike, and there were some signs up in this neighborhood and all. And I saw him looking at, and he's repeating the words of the billboards and stuff. And I knew that this was getting processed and stored back there somewhere in that vast vault that he, keeps his lyrics and keeps his ideas in. And he never stopped processing, never stopped working. But that was a great day. It was a day where we just there was more to it. We got in the car because at the time my first wife, who was still alive, had one of her friends came over with her husband, and Bruce had his '60 Corvette out front. Well, he came in with his newer Corvette. Look at my Corvette. We both were like, nah, this is not nice. We'll see you around. We're going out in the woods. So, yeah, it was a beautiful day out there. Could smell that pine needles, and yeah, he didn't want to put the air conditioning on, so we had the windows down, and we had some fun.
I'm sure.
Well, you mentioned Winter Corvette. Is that probably the most popular print that you sell?
We're selling. I just sent 8 more 11 by 14s to Morrison Hotel Gallery. Somebody from LA was ordering one that they needed framed. So I said, look, they just sold out. I said, I'm sending you 8 more. Get the one framed that I sent you, and get the rest of them. Just keep the rest on consignment because they sell. Now the thing is, only the 1114s sell because they're open edition. They're not numbered. We also made Corvette Winter in several other sizes. They were in 16 by 20, 20 by 24, 30 by 40, and one big ass photograph that was 5 by 75 inches.
Whoa.
Wow.
Out of Snap galleries in the UK at the many years ago for something. It was either $25,000 or $35,000. Somebody paid for that one. So somebody in Italy, a collector in Italy, bought it. But none of those exist. They're all sold out. I only made editions of 25. So anybody that bought those over the years, have something rare, because a lot of photographers do editions of 150 or 450 or whatever. I only made editions of 25. I wanted to keep them special. So they're sold out. So the only thing that's still selling are the open editions, because they're not numbered. They're just signed, the 11 by 14s. But they are available. And it's Corvette Winter, which was taken from, I got that title from the movie Corvette Summer, which was oh, and speaking of movies, I'm gonna just, can I do something here?
You got carte blanche. You can do whatever you want.
By all means.
Yes, Bruce was staying up at the Navarro Hotel when we were talking about that, and he was talking about movies, going to see this movie or that movie. So he was a real movie buff. You're living in, freehold or whatever, and you want to escape, you go to a movie. Hey, let's go to the movies, right? Mean Streets, right? Martin. What do we do? Hey, what do you got? I got $20. Hey, let's go to the movies. So anyway, let me give this to you because I'm starting to collect it. Get out of there. Cancel that. Okay. Redheaded Woman. Jean Harlow. Thunder Road. Robert Mitchum. Badlands. Martin Sheen and Sissy Spacek. The Wild and the Innocent. Audie Murphy. Sandra Dee. Gilbert Rowland. Point Blank. Lee Marvin. Angie Dickinson. Ramrod. Joel McRae. Veronica Lake. This Gun for Hire. Veronica Lake. Robert Preston. Alan Ladd and Laird Gregor. Are you picking up on this?
Yeah.
Seems to be a pattern here.
You broke the code. Only took us 50 years. We should have figured this out. Wow.
Like you said, Frank, he was reading the billboards as you're driving. Like he's processing everything, just wordplay, words, how they're put together.
It's a quotation, he's thinking, oh yeah. And if he saw something that was cute, he liked, he would repeat it over and over. But hey, this was a machine. He was
wow.
He was a computer before they perfected computers.
Wow.
Look, I've as you know, I spent a lot of time with Patti Smith. I photographed other people. There's nobody like Bruce Springsteen, and I don't think there ever will be again.
I will no arguments here. Someone mentioned Carrie Ellen Wilson at Atlantic City, Burt Lancaster. Add that to your list.
Add that to your list, Frank.
That's right.
Frank, somebody asked, not only did you get Darkness in Nebraska covers.
No, River.
Sorry, the River. Sorry. My fault. But the Corvette is the picture chosen to be on his autobiography.
Chapter and verse.
So at what point in time?
Biography, yeah.
So did he reach out to you ahead of time and say, hey, I'm thinking about using that shot for the cover?
That was Jonathan. Oh my God, what's his name? He runs. What's the publisher? I'm having a mental block. But anyway,
that was Simon and Schuster.
Simon and Schuster. So Jonathan called me up and said, we are considering using your Corvette shot for the cover. We have several different images that we're looking at. So, and some of his people kept in touch with me by the computer. And he said, oh, we'll keep in touch. We'll let you know. And then one day I got the call. You got the cover, it wraps back. And, but I'm looking up on my wall. He also used the Corvette shot for Chapter and Verse album, which came out. However, my wife and I were privileged to have been invited to the book party for Born to Run. And, we're kind of New Jersey guys. We don't hobnob with the rich and famous, but so we're in this, we go up and we're getting acclimated in the room. John Landau and some of his people were there who, I'm talking to them and some other folks and stuff. And so then I said to my wife, hey, Carol, that's Tom Hanks coming in with his wife, That is Steven Spielberg and his wife, hey, Carol, that's Robert De Niro,
Wow.
So there was Ralph Lauren was there, and Bruce's family was there, and all three of the children, and it was one hell of a party. That's all I get. And the book with my cover was everywhere. So I get Steven Spielberg, and I had heard that he lived near Haddonfield, where I shot that cover. And I said, Stephen, I said, I heard you used to live near here. Is it this? I said, this was shot on Colonial Avenue in Haddonfield. Get out of here, So, he found that to be interesting, I guess. But yeah, I was up there with the rich and famous, just the poor and humble me. So
Yeah, but what an incredible thing that, his autobiography, the one that he officially put out finally, was your photo that you, and who would have, I mean, when you think about it, it's crazy because you took that photo, you know, 30 years, 40 years ago, and it could sit doing nothing, and then all of a sudden become something like, I mean, like that.
it also gave me about a page and a half of acknowledgement in the book as well.
Yeah, yeah.
See, yeah.
But it's just it's I can only imagine that, like, coming back and like, wow, he remembers that photo, he looked at this photo and I took 40 years ago and whatever, and that's going to be the book cover in 2017, which is unbelievable.
Needless to say, he loved that car, that 60 car,
Yeah.
and I think he still has it. And he's I've been up to his to Colts Neck
Mhm.
times, and he's got one room with motorcycles and surfboards, and another room with cars and trucks, and another, but I think that was one of the special cars that he really liked. Yeah. So I guess he wanted it on that book cover.
Kudos to you. It's obviously it's a great book, but it's something that photo made, you know, two of his best, arguably best albums and his official autobiography. So
It says
kudos.
a lot.
That was taken in February 1978 on an icy cold day.
Hmm.
Look at the photograph. He's wearing a thin leather jacket and a flannel, that flannel shirt that's also on the cover of the River.
And didn't comb his hair. So,
It was the look. But I don't think you could have combed that hair. Look at that.
yeah.
Uh, that was it. I mean, we walked out because we said, we shot in the house, and I said, let's go out in the neighborhood and do some, a few shots. Yeah, he's wearing this thin jacket. I had a freezer coat on because I worked at the packing plant at the time, and and it was freezing cold. But he goes out there and he's leaning against the car like it's a spring day, And we walked all around the neighborhood, and people would be walking on the main street of Haddonfield, which is kind of an upper crusty little town, and and they're looking at, is that? Nah.
And that's in 78.
1978. Yeah.
But you took, one of the photos that I used today to, to remind people to watch the podcast. You were taking photos, I mean, I'm going to say recently, but it was definitely, I would say 2018, or I mean, no, 20, maybe 2023, maybe. When was the last time you photoed him it looked like it would look like it was at the barn. I don't know if you, which one I'm referring to.
2017.
2017. Yeah.
We were finishing up the book, the big book,
Right.
and I saw him in Philadelphia at the concert.
Hmm.
I've been asking him to, Guido wanted this, we had all this material, and we said, we really want to bring it home with, a new shooting session to finish the book, because we put the book out in 2017. So I said, Bruce, I saw him at the sound check in Philly, and I said, we got to get together and do this book. Said, we're coming to deadline. I really need to get one more session with you. Can we get this done? Yeah. So he said, let me see what I can do. And I think it was a week later or so, he called me up. He said, can you come up to the farm on Monday? I said, sure. Boom, up there, we got it done.
I gotta say that we had a lot of guests on the Spring Nut Cafe, but your Bruce impression has got to be spot on. I gotta be honest with you, no one can nail it like you're nailing it right now.
Jersey thing. Yeah, so like I said, this all started with Patti, and my relationship with her, and she calls me up on my birthday every year and sings happy birthday to me, and I'm following her around. She was in Finland, She was in Helsinki. She was in Rome. She's all over Europe right now. I mean, I don't know. You know, she's 1 year younger than me, and I'm getting up there. So I applaud her stamina.
Yeah.
So Frank, one question I'm interested in, you know, you grew up in the 50s, you're a few years older than Bruce, but right about the same age. You grew up in the 50s, obviously you crossed paths with these people. Were you a music lover when you were a kid? What were you listening to? What kind of music did you like?
Absolutely. I had an uncle that worked at RCA Victor in Camden, and he brought me. He was also my godfather on the Catholic side of the family. So you know, he looked out for me. He was also Italian, and he looked out for me. I had a lot of Italian uncles, which they all looked out for me. But he brought me one of these RCA 45 RPM record players, where you can put a stack of RPM records, you know, 45 RPM records on top, and then one would play. When it was over, the next one would drop down, and so forth. And he got me a lot of RCA records, and Elvis Presley, and just all this stuff. But then I listening to Bandstand and all these other things, and I think the first record I ever bought was "Searching" by the Coasters. You know, sound to it. So I was just a kid. I'm at the Berlin Farmers Market at the record shop, and I was all nervous. And I said, "Do you have Coastin' by the Searchers?" Well, he finally figured out what I wanted. But that was the first record I ever bought. And there was a record called "Black Denim Trousers and Motorcycle Boots."
I never heard of that one. Black denim trousers?
Denim trousers and motorcycle boots, and a black leather jacket with an eagle on the back. He had a hunk of sickle that took off like a gun. That fool was the terror of Highway 101.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. I gotta look this up.
I think it was by the Treniers, but I don't hold me to that.
So you were all over the place. You're listening to 50s rock, you're listening to Elvis, Chuck Berry, all the classic stuff.
You know, we're listening to Philadelphia Bandstand before it went to the West Coast. You know, it was a local show. So I had friends in high school, Monty Montez and people like that went on the show and danced, and they'd bring all these you know, different acts in to sync their records and stuff. But yeah, I was into rock and roll growing up very much. You know, crazy stuff.
Did you shoot anybody in photography, in the music world before Patti? You know, you crossed paths with Patti?
Oh, Patti, you know, that was bad. But no, I went to concerts. You know, I have shots of the Rolling Stones and the Grateful Dead and a bunch, you know, whoever was out back in those days. They had these things called dance concerts at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, and myself and a couple other guys, you weren't allowed to bring cameras in, so we would like break our cameras down, tape them to our socks, you know, things like that, because you get patted down, and we get in and then reassemble the cameras and shoot stuff. So you know, if you look in the book, you'll see some of the other stuff that I've shot. You know, mostly concert stuff. But in terms of you know, just posing and sit down, it was Patti and it was basically Bruce. I was fortunate to be backstage in 1978 with Bruce and Philly, and Steven Van Zandt came up to me and said, "Hey Frankie, what are you doing Sunday?"
I love it.
I'm doing Sunday. You tell me. He said, "Can you come up to Little Italy in Manhattan? You know, photograph Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes. You know,
Yeah.
Sure, I'll be there. You know, 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm standing there. Steven comes, Johnny comes. I had my assistant with me, and then the band trickled in, and the late great Obadiah Chizik there, and she was, you know, she became a good friend of mine over the years, and so we shot in front of Umberto's Clam Bar, because that's where Joey Gallo was assassinated. So that was where they wanted to shoot that album.
Wow.
And then we went across the street to my favorite restaurant, which is called Puglia's, and um, and then we went around Little Italy shooting all day, and I got the cover for Hearts of Stone.
You're getting applause on your
Yes.
on your Stevie
Yeah.
impression too.
I
You
think
you may have a second career.
you may have upped it. Bruce was pretty good, but that Stevie impersonation, that was like spot on.
Well,
They are
who
too.
did who
You
know?
can't help but emulate.
Yeah. Who knew? Put that on your resume. E Street Band impressions by Frank Stefanko.
When you're photographing, Howie, got to keep
Was that? Yeah, for sure. I hear you.
otherwise it gets boring after a while. So yeah, Bruce was one of the first ones. You got a couple of good jokes, Frank? One of those things.
Mm. So I want you, Ryan, ask those
Oh,
questions.
my
I think
questions I
Frank
used
would,
to ask.
yeah, because again,
Okay.
I think it's a good one for Frank.
Okay, Frank, we've kind of strayed, but when we first started this, I had three questions I was asking all of our guests, but it kind of went off skew because it didn't always pertain. Do you remember the first live concert that you went to? Could be small, could be big, doesn't matter.
I do. Pete Seeger.
Wow.
Pete Seeger, wow.
I think I don't remember if he was in Trenton or Philadelphia, but yeah, I was into folk music in those days, and Pete Seeger, Tom Paxton, just Phil Oakes, all the good folk.
Mm.
Because what was that? That would have been the mid '60s, I guess, mid to late '60s. So yeah, I think it was Pete Seeger was the first. One of the best concerts I ever went to was at the Lambertville Music Circus or Hall or Fair in Lambertville, New Jersey. Ike and Tina Turner and their review.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, you could not sit in your seat for that one, especially with Proud Mary.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was when she was still with Ike before she went out on the
Wow.
Ike Cats and a hell of a show. But yeah, music. I grew up in a house full of music. We had this gigantic radio. This is before TV. I had this gigantic floor model radio, and my father would listen to polka music, and my mother would listen to Italians and Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra and all that stuff. And so music was there. It was in the house all the time, and it just kind of settled in and evolved. One thing led to another, and to another, and to another, and then there was Bruce. Say no more.
Second Second question is, and I don't know how to word this. I don't know how to if you want to take pictures of them or listen to them. Let's just keep it simple. Since you love music, if you could see anybody right now perform, who would it be?
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
And then the second part of that is, was there anybody that's passed or you couldn't see, when you were younger that you wish you could go back and see them live?
The people that I wanted to see, I saw them. I saw the Jay Giles band. I saw, Led Zeppelin. I saw the bands that I wanted to see. I got out and I went to see them. I can't think beyond that. As time goes on, I get set in my ways.
Mm.
Most of the, I have a lot of stuff in the car. Toots and the Maytals. I love their music. Toots died, what, 5 years ago, maybe?
Mm.
Uh, and yeah, I wish I had gotten a chance to see that reggae band. They were pretty good. I don't know.
Fr-
I'm
Frank, Frank, somebody's asking, did you do the cover for the Stones book Black and Blue that came out in the early 90s?
no.
Okay, not sure where that came from. Sorry. And then somebody else says, I love the music through the lens series and your story about Bruce. I don't know what the music through the lens, was there a TV series or a book series?
You know what? I have done a lot of interviews. They're all on YouTube. You know,
Mm.
I've done some really long interviews. A couple I did at Monmouth University. A couple I did for, I did a bunch of things. Pammy and I did one a few years ago with. I can't think of his name. My age, I have mental lapses, so you have to forgive.
Well, I'm 52 and I have mental lapses too, so don't feel too bad.
I just have selective memory, so.
Um,
What's your favorite Bruce album? Let's put it that way. Your favorite Bruce album?
you are. That's a really good one because as he, as he's gone on
Hmm. Could
and
be anything.
evolved and evolved. I mean, I like this one, then I like that one, then I like this one. My very favorite, like, whoa, I you might think I would say Darkness because of that cover.
Right.
That's not that's not the one. Yeah, I mean, I like the river very much. I have to say I like Eric's, the Born to Run album.
Mhm.
Some of the early, even the early stuff, even the, you know, Greetings and
Hmm.
Wild the Innocent. I just like how everything evolved. I
You
mean,
named every album. That's great. Like,
I like the what's the one he did at the farm where
Western Stars.
Stars. I loved Western
me
Stars.
too. Me
Yep,
too.
absolutely.
The video version, the sound version. I have had
Mm.
a version. I love that. And then the stuff that he did recently with
Letters to You.
yeah,
The
man,
soul covers.
the other room. It's just one of the more modern things where there's so many different versions of songs. It was I don't know, maybe seven seven disc package.
Oh, the tracks too.
The tracks too. Yeah.
Seven albums. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.
You know. So and then
Frank, don't feel bad. People ask me this question sometimes, and honestly, like I could maybe tell you my top five albums, but I cannot pick one album. I can't pick two albums. I can give you my top five, and that's it. For as far as I'm concerned, Bruce is one of those few musicians, Paul McCartney, Miles Davis maybe, who's been around as long as he has, and you could almost put his second half of his career up against his first half, and they're equally as good in different ways. He's gotten more broader as he's gone on and does a lot of different things. But I think his second half of his career is just as almost as good as the first half.
I agree. I agree. Like I said, the evolution of Bruce Springsteen is a marvelous thing to
Hmm.
the beginning and follow it through the years, the decades, Howie.
Yeah.
It's it's anyway. If I'm in the car, I have a CD that I made myself. That I told you earlier that my first wife, mother of
Hmm.
boys, had passed away at 41, and years went on, and struggling through life, but I got there. Got there. However, in about 26 years ago or so, I reunited with my high school sweetheart, Carol. And I think you met her, Howie. Um,
Yeah. Who? Carol?
yeah,
Oh,
Carol.
look, I was going to ask you about your better half. I mean, we miss her.
So anyway, we got together and we got married in this house out in the backyard. And we had all of our friends and family come over. We have a very large backyard, and we had a friend of ours who was a minister, perform the ceremony, and we had music playing because I made this compilation disc that it has just the weirdest combination of stuff on it. It has some stuff from there's
Still on?
north of Australia where the natives are singing this beautiful, beautiful chant where we came in, and then there's just stuff that Carol and I listened to when we were in high school because we were high school sweethearts, and then evolved with the, just there was some the Irish guy. I can't think. Oh, I'm having problems. But I should have. I didn't know I was going to be talking about this, or I'd have made some notes. But Van Morrison,
Oh, Van Morrison, yeah.
his stuff, and then it went on, and there was the guy from Hawaii that passed away, the big guy.
Cousin is.
Yeah, and I mean, just some beautiful stuff that it was music that was important to Carol and I, and that we played it all through the our ceremony, and everybody just loved it. So every once in a while, if Carol and I are driving down Atlantic City or something, we'll pop that baby in and and just enjoy that music. But at the end, it's Days of Hope and Dreams with Bruce Springsteen.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
That's my number one, Frank. Out of all the songs, I can tell you my number one song, Land of Hope and Dreams. I can't tell you my top album, but I can tell you that's my favorite song. It just means so much to me. It
Me
just
too.
kind of encompasses everything that he's about.
We saw him sing that in Atlantic City at the convention hall in Atlantic City. I know when he first recorded it or something. That was a long time ago.
Well, I just want to say from my end, Frank, a couple of things. First, for the people out there in Springnut, Asylum, I want to say when we started the group back in 2015, um, I got to say Frank was one of the first, if not the first, okay, I call Springsteen notables that joined Springnuts from the very beginning. Okay. And I remember when I saw the request to come in the group, I was like, oh my God, Jules, Frank Stefanko is on the agenda. And it was a big thing for us. I mean, he was literally the first. And I remember I met you for the first time. It was in Princeton. There was a whole what they call showing of of stuff, and it was you and Danny and a whole bunch of other stars, and I met you for the first time and you were so great. So I remember I have the picture, okay, that I gave you the very first edition of our Spring Nut t-shirt when I was designing them, and it was like nothing. But I remember giving it how great you were with me and Jules, and how supportive you've been of the group throughout. I mean, from day one, and I don't want this to get lost in tape that I'm so thankful and appreciative of everything you have done for us and the group. So thank you, Frank.
My pleasure. But let me say that uh, I realized what you were doing, and what a Herculean job you did to assemble this wonderful thing that you've gotten all these people together from not just here. I mean, I had dinner a few weeks ago with Wangi, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
and and I knew him from your group, and we
Hmm.
hooked and had a nice dinner down in Atlantic City, and with Michelle and Carol.
Hmm.
You know, how does that happen? How do people meet people, and how do you get this tight band, this group together, and the work that you do, you and Jules, and the money that you raise for different charities, and the good work and the camaraderie of all the people for under a common cause and a common like of Bruce Springsteen music. Um, how could I not? How can I not be amenable to what you do?
Well, I appreciate that. Coming from you, it means a lot. And, but I will say that, you've been there from day one, literally from day one. And it's been an honor, and it means a lot that you're part of this and you are part of it. So, don't think you're part of the camaraderie and you're part of the growth of and the journey of this group without question. So thank you. I wanted you to hear that from me. First and foremost. Obviously, our love, to Carol. Okay, and please, give her a big hug from me and Jules, and from the whole Spring Nut group. Give, big Spring Nut hug. And, obviously I say this thing, anything that we can do for you, I know, please never hesitate because you're a brother, you're a spring nut, you're everything. So I want to thank you for doing the podcast with us, and I want to obviously just thank you for understanding. I know but Ryan didn't have his priorities in check and decided to give his what was it, your gallbladder
Gallbladder.
away, your
Yes.
gallbladder away.
Take
So
my gallbladder.
the night of the US. I don't understand. Where's your priorities? Frank Stefanko's coming and you don't give your gallbladder away.
Talked about that. We both had given our gallbladders out.
Yeah.
Yes. To medical science, we gave our gallbladders.
Yeah. So
Frank,
thank you.
I just want to say somebody did mention you have wonderful travel photos out there. So if you're interested, check out Frank's Facebook page. He posts quite a bit. He's had some great stuff of Hawaii that I just absolutely love, and Hawaii holds a special place in my heart between me and my parents, and for different reasons. So, Frank, I really enjoy those pictures. So thank you for those. Check that out. And again, I apologize for last week, but we are here, and I will say this: if you have a chance to meet Frank, I've met Frank a few times at random times. Very kind and gracious, very classy gentleman. So he's always kind to those of us that have the nerve to try to talk to him.
Oh, shucks.
He's a mensch. Oh, and also I would like to say, I had one thing I did emulate you with, just so you know, but I don't know if you got. So I watched your daily, when it's baseball, it's, I mean, your Philly, updates and recaps. So I was doing it during the Knicks run this time, and I said, I want to do it the way Frank does it, even win or lose. I mean, at least. I'm not a Phillies fan, obviously, but I'm more of a basketball guy. But I've said, you know what, I'm gonna do these daily recaps like Frank does. But I keep up with the Phillies now without whether I want to or not.
Old or not, but coming up to this podcast tonight, one of the guys had posted, "Whatever you do, don't."
Yeah.
They're in a terrible, terrible way right now, and they've got to get their shit together because there's something broken there that needs to be fixed.
Well, the Yankees are worse, and the Mets are even worse than that. And but I got the Knicks.
No game tonight. They'll be back tomorrow in Baltimore. They're playing in Baltimore tomorrow, so we'll see what happens. But I keep writing about it. So
Nah, it's good stuff. It makes me laugh sometimes, but it's very informative.
Dad used to watch the Phillies. I grew up with the Phillies in the 50s with
Mm.
like Granny Hamner, Puddinhead Jones, Robin Roberts, Richie
Mm.
Ashburn, these kind of guys. So he was a long-standing, diehard, long-suffering Phillies, and so I guess he just passed that on to me.
Well, I did like the Phillies when Mike Schmidt was on the team. I gotta say. So, but again, thank you, Frank, for doing this with us. It's a pleasure and an honor as always. We had a lot of fun. I know, looking from the comments, everyone ate this up, and I gotta say one thing. Forget about anything else. Everyone loves you, Frank. You know that, right? The group absolutely loves you and adores you. And you're on Facebook, so you'll get to see this back, and you'll see the comments yourself. But if you look back, you're gonna see how much love the Spring Nuts have for you, and it's well deserved.
But we just try to keep it real, and humble.
Yep,
Well.
and you do.
Have a
Th- Thank you,
great night,
Frank.
Frank.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for the invite.
Have a
How
good night.
always.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Really nicely done.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he got. I mean, I get on here at like 15 till just to make sure you're on and
Mm.
Stan's on and Julie's on. But today you weren't on here. But I started at 6:45 just to make sure I had my background and everything. He got on here at like 6:45, and I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah, I
that
was
was
wondering if you
nuts."
started early because you were already in at it. I got here like exactly 7:57. I'm like, okay, and I'm like putting everything together and all this stuff, and I'm like, and you're already into his
I
teenage
just
years.
we
I
were
was
on
like,
here for like 10 minutes and I was like trying to stretch it out. And at a certain point in time, I'm like, I don't know. Like he seems like he's getting restless. I got to go. Like we got to
no, no,
start.
no. You
So
know, good. That's a good call, and you go with what the guests want always. And trust me, we were doing like 110 to get here, and
I
I
was
couldn't
expecting
believe
8:15, 8:20.
I
You were on
me
there right
you
at 8 o'clock,
and
buddy.
you and me both, and I left my luggage and everything in the car, and I was like, we gotta hook up this computer and get on. I'm like, we got a short, like we had a all the staff called out sick today, so I got to get on this thing. So, but it was really really nice, and his stories are amazing. You know what? I didn't really put it together, and it really made me smile in a way because like when you learn new things, even though you've been a fan for 50 years or whatever, and you learn something new, and maybe it's new for me because maybe other people put it together already, but the fact that I realizing that he took both of those shots for the
At the
river
same time,
and at the same time, which I didn't
I had
know.
no idea. I had no idea.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
just
know.
assumed they were two different sessions.
Right, me too. So it's the same session, and the characters, I could see now, like I'm looking at Bruce's face, and I'm saying the characters are in both of those albums, the way he shot it. And like he said, he shot it as him, realizing the characters. And, I'm sure he didn't realize that he was going to get the album cover after that, but look how it connected. And like I said, arguably two of his most popular albums, to say that he was the one who shot those covers. And then 20, 30 years later, it comes out to be his autobiography. One of the cover show is going to be the autobiography cover. It's really mind-blowing. It's humbling just as a fan to realize that. But
And I love
he's a
it.
great
Like no
guy.
matter how, no matter how popular, no matter how well known his stuff is, I love the fact that he's just like a guy, he's from a guy from the Philly, New Jersey area. His dad was a cabinet maker and his mom was a stay-at-home mom, and it's just like he's never lost that. He's very down to
Right, but
earth,
you
very
you
humble.
know right, and you saw that, and like even when he was telling the story about the going to the book party,
Like I
and
don't belong here. I don't belong here with Steven Spielberg and Tom
and
Hanks and
I gotta be honest with you, like like everybody, every serenade, I invite, everybody that's, a notable and whatever. And, he always thanks me for invite, but it's again, I can understand, but he's again, I never, for me, I was like drawn back to that because like he always thanks for the invite and whatever, but it's not. But then I see like how humble he was when he was going to Bruce's own thing. Like, he's low key, he sits in the back and and meanwhile he's the cover of the book. He's supposed, but he still was very, very humble about this whole thing. And like I'm telling you, just going back when I first met him, and when again, literally, I actually remember it because I wrote about it at one point. Is that he was, when it was a 500-person group, and we were just like a bunch of people just interacting every day, and then all of a sudden, I see Frank Stefanko wants to join Spring Nuts. At the time, I was like, oh my God, it was like, we were doing nothing at the time. Nothing like to the point that we're doing t these days, but I'm just saying, like, it was a big thing. And it still is a big thing, but he's always been so great. And I know he's been like you pointed out when you've met him a bunch of times, how engaging and, and humble he is. It's a great, great guy, great guy.
like we're you're friends with people on Facebook, but you don't know
Mm.
if that's like really them. Is that
Right.
their published? Is that their PR person?
Hmm.
But I saw one of his shots about Hawaii, and I just thought, I'm gonna just send him a DM. I did. Hour later, he sent me a message back and was very kind and thank you for sharing the story about you and your parents and this, that, and the other. Like, who else does that? Like, you don't know if that's going to be really him or not, but it was him and he was very gracious about it. Elisa, that's funny. I wonder what the meat packing guys think. I did want to ask him because at that in '78 he was still working at the meatpacking plant. So like, was he able to step away from that and get totally into photography at that point in time, or did he? I was going to ask that question, but I didn't want to get too deep into the woods. What do the meatpacking guys think?
His impressions were funny.
Dude, Bruce was funny, but then Stevie, like that was he was channeling Stevie. That was Frank. What are you doing on Saturday? Come on up.
We should do a compilation in the end when we do like of all the Bruce impressions everybody's done. Put one big
Hank
compilation.
Azaria,
Hank
Frank
is like
Stefanko.
I mean, everyone did their thing whenever they tell Bruce, what their Bruce interaction was, they for some reason they go into the Bruce voice and they do it as him. We should just do a whole compilation and say, "Hey, Bruce, which one you think did you the best?"
It's so easy. Like it's easy to impersonate him just because
Yeah.
he's got that thing, and
Yeah, but when
Stevie's
he
got
went into
that thing.
Stevie, he went into that, Italian Goomba, thing. It was like very funny, very funny. And you don't expect it from someone like, Frank.
No,
Obviously, right? The thing all of a sudden it came out. It was really funny.
came out of the blue. Did you make the announcement today?
Yeah, so we
I
made
was
the
off the grid.
announcements. Yeah, so we made the announcement. It's gonna be a fun night. Again, it's not a serenade, obviously. And then, I got like 10. Wait, I gotta make hotel. I'm like, I'm not doing another serenade this year. I'm sorry. We did two in a year. We're taking a break, and it takes time. But anyway, so we were very fortunate and blessed, and honored, that Hank Azaria and his team reached out, doing a bunch of shows, and the one show that, you know, at the Pony, it made a lot of sense for us, and um, so we decided, to team up with Hank. He wants to play, in front of the Spring Nuts, and I mean, obviously, all Springsteen fans, that goes without saying, but knowing that, Spring Nuts, are very passionate and, bring a lot of energy to the shows. We talked about it and we thought it was a great idea. So it's October 14th. We know it's, at the Stone Pony. He's super stoked. He's a little nervous, but he's super stoked. But I told him it's going to be great, and we're excited to be part of it, and it's going to be a fun night. He's going to feel like everything else. Like, if you were part of if you watched Anthony's um podcast the other night, they feed off of the fans, and when you bring the energy, the show kicks up, another 10 notches. And so, even though you may have seen the shows, um, you know, in other places, this is going to be a Spring Nut themed show. It's going to be, really, really, really fun. So we're very excited about that. Yeah, and that was the announcement. Yeah, so
Okay.
tickets are on sale, and please come if you can.
October 14th, Stone Pony. I think that's a Tuesday or a
It's a
Wednesday, if I'm not
Wednesday, yeah, it's a
Wednesday.
Wednesday night. It's a Wednesday night. And then we have Anthony's show
That's
a
the
week,
ninth, August ninth.
August 9th. That's a week from Sunday.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about so there's a T-Rock event on that Saturday after Hank's deal. It's like the 17th or whatever. Are tickets for sale yet, or is that a known publicized thing, or
I'm trying to think which it is for the
Stan
T-Truck.
mentioned this a while back. There's apparently something at the Pony that's involved with T-Rock, similar to last year.
I haven't heard that yet,
Okay.
being quite honest with you. And I would say if I did. I mean, listen, it doesn't make sense because August 17th is literally 3 weeks away. So,
No, sorry, October 17th. Sorry.
oh, October 17th is
Yes.
possible. I'm not sure. I'm not, they may be doing something. I haven't heard anything for sure
Okay.
but it's definitely not, it hasn't been put on sale yet.
Okay.
What I do know is that Stevie Van Zandt is going to be honored by Count Basie. Okay, that's going to be something that's going to be going out soon. So Count Basie is going to induct Stevie Van Zandt to their Hall of Fame. And that's going to be something, um, obviously at the Count Basie Theater. I'm just not sure of the exact date. That may be the October 17th thing he made, but that's not the Pony. That's going to be a Count Basie thing, but I'm not sure of the date. But
I don't
Yeah,
know
the
where
so so the
who told
award
me that.
show. Yeah, I have to find that because I know we actually, if you're at the Serenade, um the Teach Rock gave two tickets to raffle. That was won by Carolyn Heiser for that, but I haven't seen anything go out yet that as far as the tickets.
Okay.
Yeah, so Joy Watson is saying it's October 17th. So if that's the case, which it makes sense, and I think that's what he may be referring to, I don't think it's at the Pony. I think it's at the Count Basie Theater. But again,
I may have misconstrued.
no, it's okay. Yeah, but that's the thing they're doing for Stevie, and that's a
Gotcha.
Teach Rock. Well, not really a Teach Rock, more of a Count Basie honoring Stevie thing. So.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Anything else you need to report in on? I mean, I know we were just on here 2 days ago,
No,
but
no. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else that we got coming up that needs to, well, other than some cafe guests coming up in the next couple of weeks? I mean, we actually have a show, I think, every week. I don't know, or something like that. I don't know.
we got one next week that I know for sure.
Yeah, so we'll make that announcement. I forgot who it is, but I think it's a special one.
It's somebody that I think most people will enjoy.
Yes, well, they're all going to be enjoyable, hopefully. But I think,
No, I meant somebody that they know very
oh yeah,
well,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and they enjoy this person's
Yeah,
stage presence,
yeah.
whatever.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I because I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I know that's going to be a fun one too, and one we've been trying to get for a while. So I'm happy we're finally getting that done. Um, yeah, and that's basically it, folks. It's been thank you for doing 2 nights with us, and thank you again, Frank, for rescheduling with us.
Yes.
And
And just so people know, like I have not like put this out there like really, but we were supposed to do this last Tuesday. I had emergency gallbladder surgery. Frank was gracious enough to reschedule with us, so that's why we had to do 2 nights this week. But Frank was very gracious and kind and had no issues. So thank you to Frank for doing that.
yeah, well, good to see you. I'm glad that you're healthy and you're doing well and you're feeling better, and that's the main thing. So, we're back on track. I'm trying to look at I think we're at episode like 43 or 44 at this point.
That's
You
pretty good.
know, that's good. So, got to get to 50. We're getting there.
We need a knockout grand slam guest for episode 50.
Yeah, they won't let me into Colts next, so I'm trying. There's a restraining order, so we're working on it.
I mean, I
All
know
right.
Vinny's always up for a repeat performance if we need to. So
Hmm.
I mean, that's always a keep that in your back pocket.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like just parachuting over and just sticking the invitation in the mailbox and then someone extracting me back out.
A drone maybe.
Right, so if I can't do that particular episode because I'm still in holding, but you guys continue and go ahead.
Who is that maniac in the parachute going? Zoop?
All right.
All right,
All right,
all
guys,
right,
have a great
Howie.
night.
Thanks for
Be
making it.
well.
Thanks for
No,
trying your best to get here as soon as you
no.
could.
Thanks for holding down the fort as always.
No problem. All right, man. Have a good night.
Be well, guys.
Be well. All right. Thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for tuning in 2 nights in 3 days. Frank Stefanko, I cannot say enough about Frank, how great of a guy he is. Seriously, 2 books I would recommend. This one is called Days of Hope and Dreams. You can get this, I think, on Amazon. It's got a lot of stuff starting in 78. He's got some parts that he wrote. Bruce wrote an intro. It's got everything up through the Nebraska bedroom stuff. And then the massive one, which is not cheap, uh, Frank, sorry, Frank Stefanko and Bruce Springsteen further up the road, which is everything from 78 through 2017, I believe, including some live concert shots over in Europe, I believe. It's not cheap, but it's worth it. It's one of the nicest uh, things I own. The gold leaf on the pages, the paper it's on, the prints, the quality of the prints. It's got stuff from Bruce in here. It's got written stuff from, I think Danny Clinch has got some stuff in here. Eric Miola, maybe. Frank has got some stuff. He's got some early shots of him at concerts at Stones, Janice, Grateful Dead, early stuff with Patti. It's well worth it. It's not cheap, so if you're going to buy it, save up your bucks. All right, everybody have a good night. Adios, muchachos. I'll see you further down the road.